handle several free spirit fabrics, but we are a Bernina dealer, and we were one of the first Bernina dealers in the country to have KAFE special edition machines. So the special edition machines came as a 770 and a 475, and they're just great machines. They have embroidery that's special to them. They have special pattern stitches that are designed and selected by KAFE. It's really fun. I'm really excited about this machine. We have them in stock. You do not have to wait for them. If you can drive to the store, we can sell you a machine. We have had some emails and things for people from different parts of the country. It is against our Bernina contract to ship the machines to you. So I'm really sorry. If you can get to us, we can get you a machine, but we are unable to, we can lose our dealership if we ship. So I'm doing my part to staying with that contract. So that's the sales pitch. It is a great machine. The 770 is wonderful. So we're really excited about it. And I think this one's gonna go home with me. I'm gonna trade my machine in. We'll see. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about today is what I have these jars of snippets. One is at home and one is here. What do we do with them? Sometimes you're stitching on other things. You cut a piece of thread off, you throw it in the jar. You cut a piece of thread off, you shove it in the jar. So it kind of mixes its colors. It does all kinds of things. The other thing is if you have these fabulous wooden spools, you don't want to sew with this thread. So you can cut it and pull it off, and you can throw that into your thread nest too. So don't ever sew with those. Just use them as filler. So what I do with them, and again, I learned this from my buddy Liz Kettle, who wrote this book about threads, and I highly recommend it. It's really it helps you learn about threads and needles, but it also helps you learn your machine. So it talks about stabilizers and stitching, threads, then it has some fun projects in it. It's a great book. It's published years ago, but we continue to support it because there's several books that were published by Landauer that we think are keystone books that every library should have. One is about beading, one is about threads, one is embellishments, and one is hand stitching. And we believe everyone should have those. Those are our go-to books when someone says, I want to learn this. Where do I go? What do I start with? What book do you suggest? We are we keep them going. We keep the books in stock, and they are usually our go-to books. There's also some books, Badsford books, that are published in England, and they tend to have some really great information in those. And of course, I left my copy at home. I think it's an out-of-print book, but I'll add it in the notes when I get home as a suggestion to purchase it. You can get it as a used book, I'm sure. But they had some interesting things about what I'm going to show you today. So what it is we use Ultra Solvy. And why I use Ultra Solvy is because I do not have to use a hoop. You can use a hoop if you want. I'm I just have trouble with hoops. I don't know why. I have no good reason. So what it is it's a plastic. And it is a heavy plastic. I mean, it's heavier than plastic wrap that you get. So I like it because it's strong enough for me to hold and to maneuver without using a hoop. That's why I like it. So here's a picture of what we did. This was a sample, and this is what it looked like when I was stitching it. So I'm going to show you the steps on how to do that, but I'm going to add a couple of notes that are interesting. One of the things you have to watch, and I really didn't notice this until I watched the KAFE flowers be embroidered. So let's see. You want to make sure that you're linking things and that you have a grid. So you do have to think about it when you start stitching, or how your plan is. So when Kate did in the embroidery module, funky, they come in and they create a grid. And so if we think about that the same way for what we're gonna do, then the chances of our threads staying together and is higher. Does that make sense? So there's a lot. This way is interlocking. This is interlocking. You know, just think of interlocking things. When I did the heart, so I did my heart, I actually did a grid like this. And then I went like this with my threads, my decorative threads. But you have to have something that your thread will attach to. Everybody follow me so far? Okay. So these are some, so you can see this one was done by this. And this is before I have taken the Solvy out. This is directly after stitching. And that's there. This one I did too, and I have that, I'll show you that in a little while. We're kind of, you know, all geared up for Valentine's Day. Hearts are always just a wonderful motif. They're beautiful. We need to remember to be kind to ourselves, be kind to other people. You know, hearts just kind of symbolize that. So I think that that's a really great motif. So I'm going to show you on some hearts. This is open here. I'm going to put a little bit. I don't need a lot. I just like a little bit. Since when have I done anything with a little bit? I'm always more is better. And you can see there's some shiny stuff. This is also some sari. We have, this is multicolored sari. So you can put pieces, you can cut these pieces in here and put them into, you know, it's always nice to have some special fabric. Now, okay, so this is going to react to water. So I can, let's try to hold it in place a little bit, or you can get a little cotton ball and it will hold it. Let's see where I have stuff. I don't have anything over here. So maybe that'll be. And of course I forgot scissors. All right, there we go. So you're like, okay, well, how do I make my shape? Again, we don't overthink it. So I'm going to use my blue part. See, this is a why do one when you can do four? So you can see it's very easy. Okay, so I have set up a KEF 770 with my favorite foot, which is the Bernina stitch regulator. So that is on there. I have a 90 size needle and I have a 50 weight variegated thread. Okay, now this is a perfect opportunity to use your start button.
wants to know if it's going to be your ATCs in February.
Yes. Yes, they will be. All right, so now I'm going to make my grid. And you see how perfectly aligned I am, not. But I need to give it some way of stabilizing and holding on to the thread. How I did my grid? Everybody see that? So that's gonna just kind of hold everything in place, and that's gonna base my kind of my skeleton of the whole thing. So just kind of echo. I am using the Bernina stitch regulator. If you do not have that, you can use an embroidery foot for free motion, but I highly, highly recommend the Bernina stitch regulator. If it comes with your machine and you have not taken it out of the machine to try it, please do. There's 3 different options of feet. I like this one because it kind of keeps things, you can see it has a wide base. And I find it easier to keep all my knots and everything under control.
Is it BSR mode 1 or 2?
Doesn't matter. This is a 90 needle and a 50 weight thread. All right, so what I'm gonna do, so you'll be able to see this. I am going to change my needle. Not that you have to watch that part, but I'm gonna put a 100 weight needle in, and I'm gonna put a 12 weight thread in. And that requires a 100 size needle.
We had one question. What was the marker that you used?
I just pulled a highlighter out. It's just a highlighter. I kind of end up covering it. I didn't want to really use a black Sharpie. You could.
Maybe something like an Expo marker would work.
Yeah, just to kind of give me a start. Oh shoot! A seamstress with no scissors. So I use my I thread this way. Another thing that I learned a long time ago is if you watch, I am pulling my thread off a spool that is sitting. When you work with your thread this way, and people may know this already, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, when you pull, you're pulling your spool and you're moving your spool. Whereas if I'm using this way, I'm not, and it's a little better on the tension. So that was one thing I really didn't know, because when I was sewing when I was younger, I was always using this one. And come to find out, that messes up your tension a little bit. See, and all this kind of stuff goes into the jar. All right, so who can use their needle threader? When I didn't have a needle threader for a long time. My Bernina machine was a 153. before I became a dealer. I've been sewing on Bernina since 1978. Never had a manual needle threader. So I get a 7 series machine, or I go to training and we're using needle threaders, and I'm like flipping it, it doesn't work, I don't know the clue. But my girlfriend Kathy is like, no, you got to have a little bit of finesse. And we were just talking to people in the store about this. They want the machine because of the needle threader, but sometimes always don't get it going the right way. So I'm going to give you my 2 cents while I thread this. And this is also a 12 weight thread, which is, you know, a little bit thicker. Know that everything on your machine is set and tested for 50 weight thread. But who's going to stay with that? Not me. All right, so can you get in here, Kyle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to pull it down.
Oh, hold on. Let me come around.
Can you see my fingers? It's hard because of my fingers. Okay, I'm going to come down. You have this white piece here. All right, give me a minute, and okay, here.
Sorry, folks.
We didn't practice this, sorry. All right, there, my other finger is pulling it up and snugging it on this needle. Just a little bit of a flip. All right, then I'm holding it loosely. I'm not holding it tight, and of course now it's gonna wig out. Hold on. Thanks to Kathy, I can do this very easily now. And it's like once you get it, do it a couple more times. Then if you see the thread is on a diagonal and it's got a little bit of looseness to it. If you don't have it loose, it has no thread to pull through the threader. Does that make sense for everybody? And once you get it the first time, unthread your machine and do it 5 more times, because then you'll get it. When I was first doing it, I was pulling the thread too tight. I was letting the lever flip up. It wasn't going into the needle. So I'm sure everybody else has done those same things that I did. All right. Anybody want to see it again? You good? You all right? Hopefully that helped, because the needle threader is an amazing tool. And you need to be using it, just like the Bernina stitch regulator. Amazing tool.
We do have a couple of quick questions. Let's see, sorry, let me scroll back up. Could you use this machine to embroidery on later, not a shape, but like fabric?
Yes. So I'll get to that. I'll show you an answer to that one.
Okay. As for the grid for the heart, can you use the decorative stitches that are that are loaded in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Let's see here. Okay. As for the spool tip that you were talking about, does the difference between the two, using the two, does that not depend on the thread or yarn that's on there?
I don't hold to that. Lots of people do. I use a thread tamer, or I use my horizontal spool tool. I never use this one. So I know that there's all this stuff about cross wound and back wound and whatever wound. I don't, that's like too much information for me. So I do this. If I'm using a decorative thread like a glamour, a metallic, I am always on a thread tamer, which I didn't bring a thread tamer in. I looked at it, but I didn't. So what that is there's certain decorative threads that need to come off the machine, specifically metallic, and I think I did in a previous Facebook Live talking about some wonderful machine threads. I showed you a thread tamer, and it needs to, those decorative threads are usually really highly spun, and they just need to come off the machine. Need to be up higher so that they get, when they get through there, they're not going to bunch all up. But yes, some people go by that. I don't. Anything else?
No, but Kathy is in the comments. Hi, Kathy.
Is that Kathy? See, I can use it now.
She says, don't use your needle threader with a needle smaller than a 7511.
Okay.
Judy's friend, Kathy.
I don't use a 75 needle, so I'm safe, but I did not know that. Thank you, Kathy. So Kathy is a Bernina dealer down in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. So if you're looking for a Bernina and you can get to her shop, I highly, highly recommend them. They have probably the, well, Kathy's the best, absolutely the best. But they also have a great tech, Bill, probably the best tech in several states in that area. So great place to go, wonderful dealer. All right, so now we're gonna try, I'm gonna show you the difference by adding a size 12. All right, so here I've got this, and of course I have no, oh, I know it, I'm gonna have a problem. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna have a problem, but we're gonna try it anyway. I'm gonna tell you why we're gonna have a problem. It has to do with thread size. So I have Deco Bob in the bottom. So Deco Bob is a size 60 weight, 80 weight, and I have size 12 in the top. That is not what I recommend. So do what I say, not what I do. Sorry, I didn't bring another bobbin. Why you don't want to do that is because the gap between the sizes of the thread is too much. So normally when I go to size 12, I'll use a 50 in my bobbin, okay, to get a better stitch. But we're gonna try it, see what happens.
Kathy says stop. Oh, could you give the name of Kathy's store?
Fashion Fabrics, Mount Pleasant. Kathy, please put your address in your notes, please, okay?
Oh, she got it there.
Okay, great, great. They have some great kids summer workshops and stuff. That's one of the things that she's done a really great job with. Okay, so what I want to show you, and I've used some Glamour with this too, you know, and basically it's just gently filling in. Now, if I did not have any thread stuff in there, you could just do this whole thing in thread and not put anything in the middle. Kind of like what they do with embroidery, is that it's all the thread. But because I do have some stuff in there that I want to see that, I'm giving myself some space between my stitches. Got lucky. Ha ha ha. Yay. Got lucky. So normally what will happen is if you don't have your thread correct, they don't have the correct relationship with your thread, you'll get this kind of stuff. Which for this purpose does not matter. Doesn't matter.
For that stuff, are you referring to this right here?
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. So that's where I don't have my tension correct. But you can. Who's going to look at the back? I'm not looking at the back. I'm only going to look at the front. Now, if you want, I'm going to show you what the next steps are at the moment. But just so you know, and Liz unfortunately is on the West Coast, so she's not watching this. So, and I mentioned her before. Liz Kettle, Textile Evolution, she has a Patreon program that gives you more involved, detailed practice suggestions on this. It will help you take it to the next step. If you're interested in that, please contact her, because this is where we're going here. So then what I would do is I would cut this plastic off. Try to reduce it because it gets gummy, it gets kind of yucky. there's certain textures that I just do not like, and this is one of them. All right, so I reduced as much plastic, and then I'm going to put it in hot water. This is no longer hot. And I'm going to just leave it and let it dissolve. So this is a piece that I did. Well, let's see if we can dry it a little bit. You can leave some of the plastic in. If you want some stability, you can leave some in. You don't have to take it all out. This has a little bit in it. So let's see how we can, don't put it near any of this plastic stuff. So this piece, I did, so if you look at this and this, they were done similarly. So here's your circles that were done. So, and then this is the thing that Liz does. Liz is like, to take it to the next level, you need some hand stitching in it. So this is hand stitching. So I used, the threads that I use are all Wonderfill. So I'm using Wonderfill cottons, Wonderfill Glamour, then I'm doing hand threads. So these are the hand stitching threads. I use tulip needles, and then I use Wonderfill cotton 50 weight and 12 weight variegated solids. And that's what it becomes. So then you can take it and you can put it on a quilt, you can put it on a piece of canvas, you can put it on a bag. I don't know what happens. You'd have to be pretty secure, and I would welcome anybody trying it and telling us what the reaction is if you had a jacket maybe that wasn't washed as frequently, because you're taking your stabilizer out. You haven't used a fusible, you've used a stabilizer. So, you know, I don't know what that would do, how that would hold up with clothing. But definitely bags you could do. Definitely consider it a piece of work. What happens if you add beads? What happens if you put it on a surface that then has beading and hand stitching that comes away with it? I mean, it could be a frame piece just on its own. What if? What if you put a piece of mica in there? What if you hung charms off of it? What if? So this is just an introduction to something that's fun. We all have thread scraps. We all, you know, sometimes you just need something that's fun and not a specific purpose. You can come, the purpose kind of comes as the piece talks to you down the road, but that's what you get.
2 questions.
Okay.
Sorry. Do you use this technique to make a scarf?
Yes, some people have done that. Really big pieces. You can get aqua mesh. That is an embroidery stabilizer, and they have made scarves this way. Yes, that was, there's a couple teachers that teach this. I'm sure you can find some instructions out there.
Okay, that's one of our, someone joining us from the Netherlands. Thank you.
Okay.
And then next, Sue Carroll.
Hi, Sue.
Couldn't you iron it?
Iron? No.
No, couldn't you iron it onto some stabilizer? There we go. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you could iron fusible onto it. Yes, and you could do that. Except for the idea behind this purpose is that you have holes. So, you know, that's kind of what it is. So I'm not sure. Try it, Sue. You can put it on paper. You can put it on a journal cover. So yeah, but some of it is to use the holes and the gaps in your stitching. Just my thought process. All right. Everybody good?
Yeah, people are asking about the quilts behind you.
Okay, so you'll have to find out about this next Saturday at 9:30, so you'll join us. This you'll have to find out on Thursday night at 7 on our app. So I'm not going to give you any details till then. Please, you know, we do have full shopping online, Artistic Artifacts. We have the Facebook pages. We have Artistic Artifacts Creative Minds, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. We are like all over the place because we want our community to reach beyond the boundaries of our physical store. So you're all invited to be part of our community, and we want to thank you very much for coming and joining us today. And have some fun. If you've made some of these things, please post them on the Facebook page, The Creative Minds. That's what it is. It's a conversation with our community. We'd love to see what you're doing. with some of these ideas and some of our products that we present to you. All right. Yeah.
One question, sorry. Do you ever do stickling? Is there a video on that?
Stippling?
It says stickling.
Stickling. Okay. I don't know what stickling is. I know what stippling is. And generally, no. I kind of am all over the place. My personality is big stitches and big that stuff. Stippling is, again, if that's what you're asking about, I don't generally do it. But if it's something that you do and you can work into it, that's great. Try it. What if? Don't know until you try it. And we encourage you to try different things that are outside your comfort zone.
Someone's asking about a plaid quilt, and it's not the ones behind you. I'm trying to figure
quilt?
out what I showed.
Oh.
Is it that one?
Yeah, that's a Katie quilt, maybe.
Maybe this one? Maybe it was this one.
Katie.
Okay.
All right.
Never mind.
Okay. It's 10:15 here, and we have the store open, and I'm sorry we need to go because I know there's a customer coming in to look at this machine at 10 o'clock. So thank you very much. Please leave comments, suggestions, information in the chat, and we will do our best to get you some answers. So have a great creative day. Thank you.